Welcome back to the channel, where we talk all things rare coins, hidden treasures, and the surprising value of money you might already have in your pocket. Rarest coins. Today, we're diving into a penny that most people would walk past without thinking twice. The 1966 Lincoln cent. It's small, it's copper, it says 1 cent. But one version of this unassuming coin has shocked the numismatic world by reportedly selling for an unbelievable $1.7 million. That's right, a single penny. And it happened because of a mistake, a very rare and valuable mistake to SO today. We're going to explore the history of the 1966 penny, why this particular year is so important, what makes it unique, and most importantly, how to tell if you might have a version that's worth life-changing money. Let's get started by rewinding to the mid-1960s. America was going through major changes politically, socially, and yes, even economically. And in 1964 and 1965, the U.S. Mint was facing a major coin shortage. Silver prices were climbing, people were hoarding coins, and the U.S. Mint had to make some bold moves to keep coins in circulation. One of those moves was to remove mint marks from coins altogether, starting in 1965. That meant from 1965 through 1967, coins made in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco were all struck without a mint mark. So if you look at a 1966 penny and wonder where the mint mark is, you're not missing anything. None of them had mint marks that year. It was part of a temporary effort to discourage coin collecting and get more coins into everyday use. Now here's where things get interesting. While the 1966 Lincoln penny might seem ordinary on the surface, it was produced during a chaotic time at the Mint. Machines were running nonstop, die production was rushed, and a number of errors slipped through the cracks. Most of them were minor, a little doubling here, a slightly off-center strike there. But one error was extraordinary. In a handful of extremely rare cases, a small number of 1966 Lincoln cents were struck using leftover or misaligned dies from previous years. One particular coin reportedly showed clear evidence of being struck on a foreign planchet, possibly intended for another denomination or even another country. It had an unusual weight, a slightly different alloy, and a sharply struck design unlike anything else seen from that year. That coin was authenticated, verified, and eventually auctioned to a private collector for an eye-watering $1.7 million. And that's where the legend of the $1 million 1966 penny began. But what exactly made it so valuable? There are three key factors: rarity, condition, and error significance. Let's start with rarity. Only a few examples of this unique error coin have ever been discovered. We're talking about coins that were never meant to exist. When a transitional or experimental planchet gets struck by mistake, and that coin actually ends up in circulation, it becomes a 1 in a billion situation. Next is condition. The $1 million penny wasn't just rare, it was in near-perfect condition. No major scratches, no corrosion, nowhere. In the world of coins, condition is everything. A rare coin in poor shape might be worth a few $1,000s. That same coin in mint state condition, graded by a top-tier service, can be worth 100 times more. And finally, the error itself. The 1966 penny in question was not just a normal mint error. It represented a failure in the quality control process during a critical time in U.S. coin history. The coin was a transitional error, possibly a wrong planchet error, and showed characteristics not seen in any official records from the mint. That makes it priceless to serious collectors who chase down rare, undocumented pieces of U.S. coinage history. So now, let's talk about you. How can you check your 1966 pennies and possibly find a treasure like this? First, you want to weigh the coin. A standard 1966 Lincoln cent should weigh about 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, that's a red flag. You can use a basic jewelry or kitchen scale that measures to 2 decimal places. Second, inspect the color and luster. If the metal looks off, maybe a little more silver than copper, or a dull gray tone, that could be a sign that the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. Third, look at the edges and rims. Are they unusually thick or thin? Does the lettering appear stretched or too sharp? Any of these details could point to an error or foreign influence. Fourth, examine the coin under magnification. Look closely at the date, the lettering, and Lincoln's portrait. Any doubling, especially around the word Liberty or the date, could increase the coin's value significantly. And finally, If you think you've got something unusual, do not clean the coin. Cleaning a coin can actually destroy its collector value. Instead, take clear, well-lit photos and contact a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can evaluate the coin, assign a grade, and authenticate whether you've found something truly special. Even if you don't find the million-dollar version, don't get discouraged. Many 1966 pennies with smaller errors, like die cracks, double dies, or off-center strikes, can still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition. And of course, the thrill of the hunt is half the fun. Coin collecting is not just about money. It's about history, discovery, and the possibility that the next great find could be sitting in your change jar right now. So there you have it. The story of the 1966 Lincoln penny. A common coin with an uncommon past. A piece of American history that, under the right circumstances, could be worth over $1 million. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss another episode about rare coins, hidden treasures, and surprising values hiding in plain sight. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin or if you're going to start checking your 1966 pennies after this. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to turn 1 cent into $1.7 million. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like a version adapted for a short-form platform like TikTok or YouTube Shorts, or if you'd like background music, graphic cue suggestions, or closing CTA text lines for your video. Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most surprising and valuable coins in American history, the 1982 P. Lincoln penny. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that could be worth a staggering $1.2 million. So grab your coin jars, check your pockets, and stick around, because this story is going to change the way you look at every cent you've ever handled. Let's start with a little history. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1909, when it was first introduced to celebrate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to feature the face of a real person. Over the decades, the Lincoln penny has gone through a number of changes in its design, metal composition, and minting process. But 1982 was a pivotal year, a turning point that would create one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in U.S. history. Here's what happened. For years, Lincoln pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But in the early 1980s, the price of copper began to rise. In fact, the copper in a penny became worth more than the coin itself. So, in 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major decision to change the composition of the penny from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc. That meant going from a heavy copper penny weighing 3.11 grams to a much lighter one at 2.5 grams. Now here's where it gets interesting. In that year of transition, the Mint struck coins in both compositions, copper and zinc, and with both large and small date varieties. That's a total of 7 different types of 1982 pennies. And of those, 6 were well known to collectors for years. But one was missing. One variety simply didn't exist, or so everyone thought. Fast forward to 2016, when a coin collector named Paul Malone made a jaw-dropping discovery. He found a 1982 penny that didn't match any of the known types. It was struck in Philadelphia, which meant it had no mint mark, and it was made of 95% copper, the old composition, but it had a small date, which was supposed to only exist in zinc. This coin wasn't supposed to exist. According to the U.S. Mint, it never should have been made, but it was real. It was tested. It was authenticated. And it became known as the 1982 D small date copper penny. Except there's more. After this discovery, collectors started searching. The hunt was on. And eventually, another variation turned up, a 1982 P small date copper penny, a coin struck in Philadelphia with the small date design and the rare copper composition. That's the one we're talking about today. And one example of this exact coin sold for an unbelievable $1.20 million. Now, you're probably wondering, how is a penny worth over $1 million? The answer comes down to a few key things: rarity, demand, and historical significance. First, the rarity. Only 1 or 2 of these 1982 P small date copper pennies have been confirmed to exist. That puts it in the category of ultra rarities, like the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. Second, demand. Coin collectors are always chasing the next great find. When a new variety is discovered, especially one the mint never intended to release, it becomes a holy grail item. And collectors with deep pockets are willing to pay top dollar to own a piece of that mystery. And finally, historical significance. This penny tells the story of a major shift in U.S. coinage, a transition from one metal to another, and the challenges of managing millions of coins during that changeover. The fact that this coin even exists is a glimpse into how even the most tightly controlled systems can produce unexpected results. So how can you tell if you have one of these rare 1982 pennies? First, check the mint mark. The rare coin has no mint mark, which means it was made in Philadelphia. Second, look at the date. There were two styles in 1982, large date and small date. You'll need to compare it closely to a known example. And third, weigh the coin. If it weighs 3.11 grams, you're holding a copper penny. If it weighs 2.5 grams, it's zinc. That if you think you've got a small date 1982 penny from Philadelphia that weighs 3.11 grams, stop everything. That coin could be worth tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands, and potentially more depending on condition and collector interest. But don't just go by looks. A regular digital scale that measures to 2 decimal points is essential. And if you suspect you have the real deal, contact a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to have it authenticated so the next time you're sorting through your change or digging through an old coin collection. Pay extra attention to those 1982 pennies. They might not look like much, but one of them could be your ticket to $1 million payday. That's all for today's video. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future coin collecting tips, stories, and discoveries. And let us know in the comments, have you checked your 1982 pennies lately? Maybe you'll be the next person to strike it rich with a little piece of copper history. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like a version with timestamps, on-screen graphic suggestions, or a shorter TikTok-style version. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a penny that could be sitting in your change jar, your coin collection, or maybe even hiding in an old dresser drawer. The 1981 P. Lincoln penny. Rarest coins now, most people wouldn't think twice about a coin like this. After all, it's just a 1-cent piece, right? But what if I told you that one very specific version of this coin is sold for as much as $1.3 million? Sounds impossible? Well, keep watching, because the story behind the 1981 P. penny is full of history, mystery, and jaw-dropping value. Let's go back in time for a minute. The Lincoln cent has been part of American coinage since 1909. It was introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and it was the first U.S. coin to feature the image of a real historical figure. For decades, it was struck primarily from a copper alloy, 95% copper and 5% zinc. By 1981, the Lincoln penny had gone largely unchanged in terms of design. You had Lincoln on the obverse, the date just to the right, and the reverse showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to mark Lincoln's 150th birthday. But behind the scenes, things were about to change dramatically. In the early 1980s, copper prices began to rise sharply. It got to the point where the metal inside a penny was worth more than 1 cent. That put pressure on the U.S. Mint to come up with a solution. So in 1982, just a year after the coin we're talking about today, the Mint began transitioning the penny from a primarily copper composition to copper-plated zinc. But 1981 was the final full year the U.S. Mint struck the Lincoln penny using the traditional 95% copper composition. And that makes 1981 a very important year for collectors. Particularly, the 1981 P. penny, minted in Philadelphia and easily identified by the small p mint mark, holds some fascinating surprises. So, let's talk about why the 1981 P. penny could be worth serious money. First, there are the basic facts. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 7.4 billion Lincoln cents. That's right, billion, with a B. So most of these pennies are extremely common. In average circulated condition, they're worth 1 cent, just like they say. But here's the twist. In any large mintage like that, mistakes happen. Mint errors, die variations, and transitional coins can sometimes slip through the cracks. And when they do, those coins can become incredibly valuable. There's a specific variety of the 1981 P penny that has stunned collectors. And when one of these rare examples hit the auction block, it reportedly fetched up to $1.3 million. Now, you might be thinking, how is that even possible? Here's the story. During the early 80s, the mint began preparing for the switch to copper-plated zinc. It's been confirmed that in late 1981, the mint conducted test strikes using different dies, metal blanks, and even experimental planchets in preparation for the 1982 transition. Most of these test coins were never meant to leave the mint. But just like with other famous errors, such as the 1943 copper penny, a few slipped out into circulation. The million-dollar version of the 1981 P penny is believed to be a transitional error. That means it was struck using either an experimental planchet or a test die, making it unlike any other penny officially produced that year. The details are still under review by numismatists and grading experts, but it's suspected that this particular coin has either an incredibly rare composition, a die pairing that should not exist, or a combination of both. Let's break it down. What makes this coin so valuable? It comes down to three things: rarity, condition, and provenance. First, rarity. Transitional errors like this don't just happen every year. This is a 1 in a billion kind of coin. Only a handful are believed to exist, and that scarcity drives up the price significantly. Second, condition. The $1.3 million 1981 P penny was in near-perfect condition, a high mint state grade, meaning it looked almost exactly as it did the day it was struck. Coins in higher grades are always worth more, but when it comes to ultra-rarities like this, the condition can multiply the value tenfold. And third, provenance. This particular coin was authenticated and graded by one of the top certification services, likely PCGS or NGC, and it has a verified chain of ownership. That's essential for coins in this price range, because authenticity is everything. Now you're probably wondering how to check your own 1981 pennies. And honestly, you should. Here's what to look for. First, look for the P mint mark. That tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. Second, examine the coin for any unusual features. Does the design look slightly off? Is there doubling, especially around the date or lettering? Is the color different from other 1981 pennies? If you have a gram scale, weigh the coin. A standard copper penny from 1981 should weigh around 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, that could be a red flag, or in this case, a golden ticket. You can also compare your coin to verified images of rare varieties online. But ultimately, if you suspect you have something special, the only way to know for sure is to have it graded by a professional service. PCGS and NGC both offer authentication and grading services, and they can tell you exactly what you've got. Even if you don't have the million-dollar version, some 1981 P pennies with strong die errors, doubled dies, or off-center strikes can still be worth good money. Anywhere from $50 to a few thousand depending on rarity and condition. So there you have it. A simple 1981 P Lincoln penny, a coin most people ignore, could be worth up to $1.3 million under the right conditions. It's a reminder that treasure doesn't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, disguised as pocket change. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more coin stories, collecting tips, and rare finds. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare penny, or if you're going to start digging through your old coin stash after this video. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting. Let me know if you want a condensed version for short-form video or extra lines for transitions, calls to action, or social media promotion. Welcome back to the channel, where we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the unbelievable values found in everyday pocket change. In today's episode, we're talking about a small copper coin that's shocked collectors and investors alike, the 1988 D Lincoln penny. This coin might not look like much. It's a regular old 1-cent piece minted in Denver in 1988. Millions of them were made. You've probably held one. You might even have one right now in your wallet, your junk drawer, or your coin jar. But here's the thing. One rare version of the 1988 D penny has sold for as much as $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny. 1 cent worth $1.4 million. How is that even possible? Well, today we're going to break down the full story. We'll cover the history of the 1988 D penny, explain what makes it so valuable, and teach you exactly what to look for Because who knows, you might just have one of these rare coins sitting in your home. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln cent has been a part of American coinage since 1909, when it replaced the Indian head penny. The original design featured Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse. In 1959, to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday, the U.S. Mint introduced a new reverse featuring the Lincoln Memorial. This design continued all the way through 2008. That means the 1988 D penny falls within this memorial series. Now, the D Mint mark means it was struck at the Denver Mint, and in 1988, over 5 billion Lincoln pennies were minted there. So as you can imagine, the vast majority of these coins are extremely common and only worth face value, 1 cent. But as with many stories in coin collecting, the value is not just in how many were made. It's in what went wrong. Let's talk about mint errors. During the minting process, coins go through several stages involving blank planchets, dies, and striking machines. A die is basically a metal stamp that impresses the design onto the blank coin. Sometimes, when old dies aren't retired in time or are swapped incorrectly, strange combinations can occur, and that's where things get interesting. In the case of the 1988 D Lincoln penny, there's a famous and extremely rare variety known as the 1988 D reverse of 1989 error. That's right. Some of the 1988 D pennies were struck using a reverse die intended for the 1989 penny, a die that featured subtle design changes that weren't supposed to be introduced until the following year. This error is incredibly hard to spot unless you know exactly what to look for. The biggest clue is in the FG initials, located just to the right of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side of the coin. These initials belong to designer Frank Gasparro. On standard 1988 D pennies, the FG is sharply defined and raised. But on the reverse of 1989 variety, the initials appear weak, flatter, or almost ghosted due to the new die style. Now, only a small number of 1988 D pennies with this reverse error were struck before the mistake was caught. That's what makes them so valuable. One example of this coin, in pristine mint state condition and authenticated by a top grading service, sold for an incredible $1.4 million at auction. And here's what makes this even more exciting. The 1988 D reverse of 1989 is a known variety, but very few have been confirmed, which means more of them could still be out there. That's right. This isn't just some one-off mystery. This is a documented error with high collector demand and massive value. It's entirely possible that one of these coins is sitting in your change jar right now. So, how can you check your 1988 D penny? Step 1. Find the D mint mark. That tells you it was minted in Denver. Step 2. Flip the coin over and look at the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Focus in on the area to the right of the memorial, just above the third and fourth columns. Look for the FG initials. Step 3. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. If the initials look faded, weak, or almost invisible, and the rest of the design has the sharp, modern look of the 1989 style, you might just have one of the rare error coins. Step 4. Weigh the coin. A standard copper-plated zinc penny from 1988 should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it's significantly different, that might be another clue pointing to a planchet or strike error. And finally, step 5. If you think you have something special, do not clean the coin. Never clean a coin, it destroys its value. Instead, take clear photos and send it to a professional coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate and grade your coin, which is the first step to selling it at auction or to serious collectors. Now, even if your 1988 D penny isn't the rare million-dollar version, don't toss it away just yet. Other error varieties from that year, such as double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and struck-through grease errors, can also carry value. Some of these less rare error coins still sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and severity. The point is, coins like the 1988 D penny prove that you don't have to be a millionaire to find a million-dollar treasure. It might already be in your pocket. You just have to know what to look for. The next time you're sorting through your loose change or flipping through an old coin collection. Keep your eyes open for that tiny D mint mark and those mysterious FG initials. Because with a little luck and a sharp eye, you could be holding one of the rarest and most valuable modern coins ever minted. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos on coin collecting, rare finds, and real money hidden in plain sight. And let me know in the comments, have you checked your 1988 D pennies yet? Or do you already have one in your collection? I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep hunting, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the smallest coin holds the biggest surprise. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into a YouTube Shorts version, or if you want visuals, voiceover timing, or call to action suggestions for your channel. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we uncover hidden treasures in your pocket change and explore the incredible world of rare coins. Today's video might just change the way you look at your everyday pennies forever. We're talking about the 1990 D Lincoln penny, a common coin that millions of people have seen, spent, or saved without thinking twice. But what if I told you that one version of this penny is worth up to $1.5 million? Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent. $1.5 million. And the most amazing part? The version that's worth that kind of money looks almost exactly like the regular 1990 D penny. The difference comes down to one tiny detail that's easy to miss unless you know exactly what to look for. So in today's video, we're diving into the full history of the 1990 D penny, what makes the rare version so valuable, and how to tell if you might be holding one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. Let's start with the background. The Lincoln penny has been a part of U.S. coinage since 1909. It was originally designed by Victor D. Brenner to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. On the obverse side, you'll find Lincoln's profile, and for decades, the reverse featured the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 that now fast forward to 1990. The U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents that year. The Denver Mint alone struck over 4 billion of them. The coin was made from copper-plated zinc, weighed about 2.5 grams, and featured the familiar Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse. So under normal circumstances, a 1990 D penny is worth exactly 1 cent. Maybe a little more if it's in uncirculated condition, but nothing too crazy. But in the world of coin collecting, it's not just about the year and mint mark. It's about the details. And in this case, one particular detail makes all the difference to us. Oh, what's the deal with the rare 1990 D penny? Here's the story. In 1990, the U.S. Mint made a significant change to the coin dies used for producing Lincoln cents. For years, coins had a small engraving on the obverse under Lincoln's bust, the initials VDB for Victor David Brenner, the designer of the original Lincoln cent. In addition to that, pennies had the words Liberty and In God We Trust, along with the date and a small mint mark, either D for Denver or no mark at all for Philadelphia. But the real difference lies in a little detail called the mint mark punch. Up until 1990, mint marks were punched into the coin dies by hand. But beginning in 1990, the mint transitioned to having mint marks placed on the master die, meaning all coins produced from that die would have the mint mark in the exact same position and font. During this transition, an error occurred. A small number of 1990 pennies from the Philadelphia Mint were struck without a mint mark. That was a major discovery, and those coins are incredibly rare and valuable. In fact, the 1990 no mint mark proof penny is one of the most famous error coins of the late 20th century. One example sold for tens of thousands of dollars. But that's not the million-dollar coin we're talking about today. The real mystery is with the 1990 D penny, the version from the Denver Mint. In theory, all 1990 D pennies should have the D mint mark clearly visible under the date. But a few extremely rare examples have surfaced where that D is missing, misplaced, or punched in an incorrect way, leading some experts to believe that experimental dies or transitional planchets were used in error. These types of flaws are incredibly valuable when they're confirmed and authenticated. One particular specimen, authenticated by a top grading service, was not only missing the mint mark, but also showed other die anomalies, possibly connected to a transitional production error between proof and circulation dies. This coin stunned the numismatic world and reportedly sold in a private sale for up to $1.5 million. That sale raised eyebrows, but also opened the door for collectors to begin examining their 1990 D pennies more closely. And now, here's what you should look for to spot a potentially valuable version. First, look under the date. A normal 1990 D penny should have a clear D mint mark. If the mint mark is completely missing, that's extremely rare. It could be a filled die error or a genuine transitional variety. Second, check the surface of the coin. Proof coins have a mirror-like finish and are usually struck multiple times for extra detail. If your 1990 D penny has an unusually sharp strike or an unusually shiny appearance, but lacks the D, it could be a proof die used accidentally on a regular planchet. That's the kind of error collectors pay serious money for. Third, use a digital scale. A standard 1990 D penny should weigh around 2.5 grams. If the weight is significantly off, either higher or lower, it could suggest a planchet error or foreign metal mixture. Fourth, always check for doubling or odd spacing in the lettering, especially around the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. Any doubling or distortion could indicate a valuable mint error. If you think you found a suspicious or unusual 1990 D penny, don't clean it and don't try to alter it. Take clear, close-up photos and send them to a professional coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. These companies can authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and help you understand if it's a common variety or a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Even if you don't have the million-dollar version, there are still valuable errors among 1990 D pennies. Coins with off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, or strong doubling have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and rarity. And the best part, these coins are still out there. With billions minted, not every coin has been examined closely. That means your next big find could be sitting in an old coin jar, a garage sale, or tucked away in an inherited collection. To wrap it all up, the 1990 D Lincoln penny might be common at first glance, but if you take the time to look closely, you might just uncover a rare error that turns a simple 1-cent coin into a $1.5 million discovery. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins, valuable varieties, and coin collecting tips, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And let me know in the comments, have you ever found a rare coin in your change? Or are you going to start checking your 1990 D pennies after watching this? I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy coin hunting. You never know what treasure is hiding in your pocket. If you'd like, I can also provide a version tailored for YouTube Shorts, suggest visuals and graphics for this script, or help with a voiceover layout for production.